You won't hear the intro, but I'll just talk in. Good afternoon or good evening, and welcome to the main break of the Showdown match versus the Power. Joining me tonight is Pete from Tuesday Night Live. How you going, Pete?
G'day, mate. How you going? Good to be here.
Yeah, very good. Now, I'm a couple of red wines in. I don't know about you, but that's just adding to the atmosphere, mate. So stick with me, and we'll see how we go. Half-time, the Adelaide Crows, 7 goals, 9-51 to Port Adelaide, 6 goals, 6-42. After a pretty torrid first quarter where the Port Power got a bit of a jump on us. We're able to steady the ship and really dominate in that second quarter, and probably should be further in front given our lacklustre kicking for goal as usual. How do you see it, Pete?
Yeah, look, I think it's panned out pretty much how we talked about on Tuesday night, and that is that they came out breathing fire. They're in reasonable form, and they always grow an extra leg for their home showdown. So they predictably had their first 3 goals on the board, and the crowd were foaming at the mouth. But
yeah,
as we thought, the Crows sort of worked their way gradually back into the game and gradually wore them down. They set up much better in the second quarter. Port had a lot of difficulty getting the ball forward, and as you say, we had a massive inside 50s, and should be probably 4 or 5 goals in front.
Right, Pete. Now listen, this is a half-time show, and it's only 15 minutes.
Sorry, mate.
We're talking about quick fire, blood nicely. I thought Curtly in the quarter. In fact, I thought after quarter time, we just settled down a little bit. Our composure was far better in that second quarter. Port, look, I class Port as a hustle and bustle team. They rely on moments of individual brilliance from their star players, Robbie Gray, Chad Wingard, the like. But aside from that, they're just a workmanlike team, really. They just, bustle the ball forward. And I felt like once we got our structures in place and we withstood the initial emotional onslaught, they didn't really have a lot of answers to us. And as I suspected, we were absolutely smashing them outside the contest. It's going to be very interesting to see how they go. I mean, if they come out and get a few up in the third quarter, it could be interesting. But if we continue to dominate disposal, I just can't. I just see them falling away. Running through some of the... Sorry, mate, go on.
Yeah, no, I was going to say they're certainly playing. They've fallen back to just playing pure slingshot football. So they're just sitting back on our forward 50 entries and just hoping to hit us out the back. And we've been setting up pretty well to stop that. Yeah,
and what we got to do is make sure that we bloody nail those shots at goal. I mean, Texas missed one. Charlie Cameron missed one. I mean, we've just got to make them pay. We had, over 70% time in forward half in that quarter, if I remember rightly, and I think we kicked, what did we kick? We kicked 2 goals, 6, 4 goals, 6. Really should have been 6 goals, 4 at the very least. But anyway, a couple of leading possession winners. We've got Brody Smith, who I thought was playing a really good quarterback role at the moment across half-back. He's on 16 touches, 11-5. Richie Douglas, as you mentioned. Matty Crouch, I thought, is doing really well in tight with 15 disposals and pleasingly 10 kicks, 5 handballs. Sloaney was a little quiet in the first quarter, but I thought he really worked himself into the game and just amassing contested possession once again. Hampton doing well up to 13, Laird up to 12, Lynchy doing well in that link man role, 11, and Charlie Cameron. Pete, how was that double run down the outside wing? How electric was that?
That was just unbelievable, wasn't it? It was one of those real human highlight reel moments, and nice to see Andy Otten get on the end of the chain. And looking at the goal scorers, see Andy's got a couple. Obviously, Eddie's got 3, but nice to see Andy contributing as well.
Yeah, Andy doing really well actually. I thought he, a couple of times he's been caught out of position, but that's understandable. Given his lack of time up forward in general, but he's providing a contest, and when Cameron fumbled that bounce and then looked back and thought, no, I can have another crack, and took another 3 bounces down that wing, that was just unbelievable. Pardon me. I thought our defenders are doing really well. I thought Hardigan and Talia are holding the tools reasonably well. Dixon threatened there for a moment, but I thought both our tall boys are doing well. I thought Lukey Brown's doing quite well. Jake Kelly's not having a bad game, even though he's not high on the disposals. I thought defensively he's working very well. Lever's finding his feet a little bit. The disappointing ones, I reckon, Pete, at the moment. Wayne Miller, how have you seen his game so far?
Yeah, look, there's a few guys that I would hope is doing it. I mean, I think he's on 10 possessions, but he seemed to a bit lost with the pace of that game just at the moment, not hitting his targets. Riley Knight's one that I'm a little bit disappointed. He's only 3 possessions up to half-time. Need a lot more from Riley.
Pathetic effort. That's pretty hard on an individual, but he's going to have to live with that.
More from him. So, but yeah, not particularly enamoured with Miller's game at the moment.
Yeah, Riley Knight actually got my Malcolm Blight spray then. We need a hell of a lot more out of Riley Knight. He looks like he's struggling with the pace of the game at the moment. He's panicking a little bit, and he needs to find his composure and get on the outside of a few chains and just get his confidence up. Just quickly running through a couple of Port players. Boak's their leading possession winner on 14. Darcy Byrne-Jones has been pretty impressive, actually. 10 and 2 for 12 posies, 3 tackles, a couple of inside 50s. Really good pickup for them by the looks. Hartlett's having a good game as well. Polek stepping up. It'll be interesting to see how long before that jab wears off. Predictably, Westhoff has been chucked down back to stem the flow. Ollie Wines was an early contender for Showdown medal, but he tailed off a bit towards the end of that quarter. But aside from that, Pete, as I said, you know, they ride on emotion, Port Adelaide, and that crowd gets up and away they go and they bustle the ball forward and someone takes a grab or someone snaps a goal and they're all up and about. But I don't see a hell of a lot of system from Port Adelaide, particularly in their defensive transition. You know, we were able to corral them pretty comfortably across our forward 50 or across the centre. And once we got field position, they didn't seem to have many answers.
Well, the thing is that since Ken Hinkley came to Port Adelaide, there really has only been one move from Ken, and that is to drop Westhoff back, absorb play, and try and hit on the slingshot. Now, that's been going on for 3 years.
Yeah.
And it worked for 1 year, but it's been going on for the next 2 years, and teams have worked them out.
Well, and aside from that, they don't have the manpower for that kind of a game. They're not quick enough. They don't move the ball effectively enough. I mean, essentially, they've got Polek on the outside. Powell Pepper looks like he's got a bit of zip to him, but they don't have enough runners to be able to effectively run that slingshot play consistently. And they just, as is shown, they can't work through our zone and they just break down across the centre of the ground. What we need to do, though, is make the most of it, and that's probably something that we didn't do in that second quarter. We had mountains of the play, and you know, as I mentioned earlier, we really should have been more in front. How have you seen Texas' game, Pete?
Not too bad. He's taken a couple of marks. He could, quite easily have a couple of goals. He's missed some shots that he might have otherwise taken. I mean, if he makes his, he had two. One very, very gettable, one that's gettable for Tex. So, if he's got 2 goals at half time, you think, well, he's probably played an okay game. So he's just one of those offenders. Same with McGovern. Misses for a professional player, what's a fairly easy shot from the boundary line, really. So, a couple of those guys just not nailing their shots, and then it hurts in how we assess their game.
Yeah. I want to see Tex do the first thing rather than the second. That one where he got caught holding the ball by Darcy Burns-Jones in the goal square there. He took the ball. He only had to lay it across his boot, and that was a goal. And instead, he tried the fend off. I just want Tex to do the first thing rather than try and be too cute with it. Same where he's gone second. To say a quick apologies to people listening live at the moment. It appears as if there's some buffering issues. I can assure people that it's nothing to do with us at the broadcast end, so it must be something to do with the Spreaker live site. So if it does get a bit sketchy during the live feed, don't forget you can listen to it on demand as soon as we finish up, and hopefully it should be all right. But apologies for those few people reporting problems. Look, it's as I predicted, Pete. Certainly not the margin at this stage, although I reckon 8 to 10 goals is still not out of the question for us. They just don't have the potency up forward, and I don't think they have the run on the outside to be able to compete with us. They count on getting, on top on the inside, and yet I've felt that our inside play has been very, very good. Our contested numbers have been pretty good. I feel as if we're actually on top 91 to 72 in contested possessions, and it's 25 to 19 clearances. So they're the two areas that Port have actually built their game plan on so far this season, and we're outdoing them. What we're not doing is converting. So I feel as if we get our entries into forward 50, cleaned up, then what's going to happen is a blowout in the second half. What we don't want is to allow them to get back into the game and to bring the crowd back into the game in the first 10 or 15 minutes of the third.
Yeah, well, certainly, hopefully that's the case, so we can do that. I see Kirtley's up to 6 tackles already, and so what you're saying there about the inside, he's carried over his bulldozing work from last week, as well as picking up some more possessions this week. He's still doing that bulldozing role.